How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about yet another crazy Democratic 2020 presidential hopeful in Cory Booker and a thing he wants to institute if he were to become president. Now, before I even get into it, I just want to say that nobody on that side, on the Democratic side, has any kind of chance of winning in 2020. It's not going to happen. First of all, Trump is the incumbent, and the incumbents almost never lose. He's very popular, and nobody over there on the left has any kind of juice, has any kind of charisma, has any kind of credentials or anything to be able to run against Trump and have a chance. I've said before that the Democrats should put Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey. You got two black women, so all the woke folks who are of all colors in the United States will feel good about themselves for not voting for the white man anymore. You have two recognizable faces, somebody that was in the White House, Oval Office already under Barack Obama, and then you have a household name Oprah Winfrey, who has a lot of money and a lot of rich and famous connections, including a Harvey Weinstein, but I digress. The point is that that would be the best ticket to fight against Trump. Although they would lose, it'd be a fair fight. It wouldn't just be a first round Mike Tyson 1987 knockout. But let's get back to it. Cory Booker wants to have a national gun registry. So you got to talk to the federal authorities. You got to get interviewed. You got to have a background check. You got to go through training. And this is for all guns, not just so-called assault weapons. Matter of fact, he would ban those and high-capacity magazines. So he would just outright ban those. What is an assault weapon? Pretty much anything that looks scary, an AR-15, something like that, even though they ain't nothing but just a regular long rifle with some attachments make it look kind of intimidating to a non-gun person. He wants to ban scary-looking weapons, and he wants you to go to the federal authorities to get your handgun, your shotgun registered. You got to go through this whole big process, all this, that, and the third. Now, this is really silly because all you're doing is making it more difficult for the average everyday consumer, the average everyday person, regular normie in the street, law-abiding citizen. You're making it more difficult for them to be able to purchase a gun when it should not be that difficult, because you got so many people out here that have guns illegally, that are criminals, that want to prey upon those who are not so easily able to get guns. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The best way to fight against all the gun crime, the gun violence, is for more people to be armed. The mass shootings, these people go to places where they feel like it's going to be an easy day, sitting ducks. Just like a person that goes and does a home invasion, usually want to do the invasion when nobody's home. Okay, usually they want to do a burglary, but then it becomes a home invasion when the people are home and they don't know it. That's usually how these kind of things go. Not all the time, but I will be more likely to say usually that's how it goes. So if people knew that everybody had guns in the church, a school, or whatever, they'll be less likely to go and try and commit some kind of mass shooting upon people at that particular place. That's just kind of how it goes. You usually have mass shootings in gun-free zones. It is what it is. And furthermore, you can't just wave a magic wand and say, okay, no more guns. You got about 300 million guns out there in the wild. I don't mean in Bob's gun shop sitting in inventory. I'm talking about in the USA, you got about 300 plus million guns in the hands of people. So how are you just going to say, all right, no more guns? Are you really going to be able to do if you were to ban private ownership? Because again, he wants to have a federal registry. So I would assume if you have guns that you were able to buy legally from a shop, you have to go either return it or go get it registered. You're only going to be able to enforce that by having voluntary buybacks or voluntary registration. You can't just go in somebody's house and be like, okay, you might have a gun in here, give it up. People are going to keep their guns, and so-called gun violence will continue. And before I even continue, it's not even gun violence, it's violence. You have all kind of violence that happens. To say gun violence makes it seem as if the gun is actually acting on its own, as its own sovereign being, its own sentient thing. It's not. You have a human being using the gun to enact violence upon others. But let's get back to it. You're not going to be able to just confiscate all the guns in the United States and have all the gun violence disappear. Even if you could do that by some kind of stroke of, I don't know, magic, you would still have issues with violence. London has a big time gun ban. They're a super gun control country. You can't have guns, but yet their crime rate has surpassed that of New York City. Okay, so how is that going on? The murder rate is past New York City. How is that happening with no guns? They have knives. Now they're talking about having a knife buyback program. A knife buyback, really? So, I mean, you're talking about kitchen utensils, things I use to cut steak and chicken and whatnot. You're going to take that away from me? So what am I going to have next? A club, a bat. There are plenty of tools you can use to hurt someone, to kill someone. The gun shouldn't be demonized this way. And then Cory Booker wants speaking against the NRA, talking about, oh, they don't really care. Why is the NRA villainized so much? I don't really understand. All they fight for is gun rights. Okay. And it's weird how the right to bear arms is the Second Amendment in the Constitution. We have that right in this country. Nobody's going to try to really debate that. It's right there in black and white. It's funny how Cory Booker would say we got to have all these restrictions and hoops to jump through to be able to exercise your constitutional right. But then when it comes to voting, even having a ID card is racist. How does that make any sense? It does not make sense. You're telling me that I have to go through all these changes just to be able to purchase a gun and own a gun. But to vote, I can just go and say, my name is Kareem Akbar, and I can vote. And no ID checking, none of that's going on. I would say have an ID to go buy a gun and say, okay, my name is X, Y, and Z. I'm at least 18 years old. Buy a gun, be out. And to vote, okay, my name is Anthony Logan. Here's my ID. Vote and be out. It's simple. I show my ID here in Tennessee. It's not a big deal. I show my ID to do a lot of different things. You got to have an ID to go sign up to a gym. You got to have an ID to go get welfare. You got to have an ID to go buy alcohol, tobacco in a grocery store. So why not have ID to go vote? Why not have ID to go buy a gun? That should be where we leave it rather than having all these crazy restrictions upon gun ownership. If we're going to be fair, let's have the same credentials be used to access all these rights that we have. The right to vote, the right to bear arms, the right to do whatever is outlined in our Constitution. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that Cory Booker is correct? We should have a national registry where you have to go talk to the federal government to have your firearm approved. I mean, if that's your case, please explain to me why that's your case in the box below. You know why I sit on this. This whole suggestion is really absurd. There should be no kind of, hoops of fire to jump through to get your weapon. That's absurd. You got to have your right to bear arms protected, not infringed. What he's trying to propose will infringe upon your right to be able to bear arms, and that's not right. I want to protect myself, protect my property, protect my country from aggressors. In Venezuela right now, they don't have guns. They took those away. You can't have a gun in private ownership. What's the result? You having armored trucks run over citizens. You don't want to have the government just do whatever they want to you. You want to be able to protect yourself, protect your life, protect your freedom with your right to bear arms and not have it be infringed by individuals like a Cory Booker. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.